fiction, which is already becoming a reality, how to open the green door to the future, the net profit of a clear country, and it is possible to prevent global warming. Alternative energy sources, unique technologies, and what you never knew existed. Live science, watch it now.
Well, what's this you have here? Well, this is a lemon power station. It doesn't count as a completed task yet. Why? All the calculations, everything gets together. Lemons do not grow in our latitudes. You should have tried a potato station or an apple. From the Examination for Vitality by Kir Kiddies. In today's program, when the incredible becomes obvious, which once again proves that man did not invent this technology, nature gave it to us. What should we feed the floor lamp with? The food will be inside the form of a liquid, which turns out that they will be inside all together in the lamps, where electrons live. We know when the sun penetrates the plants, all energy is accumulated in the roots and thus electrons flow. Who are warmed by algae? There is a project in Hamburg where there's a house that has a facade made of algae. What is bioenergy? How skates can treat us, or electric honey, palm oil in the gas tank, algae for lighting, and when flowers in pots can charge your phone. Living energy. The midday sun shines brightly. Somewhere in the blue heavens, the lark sings its endless song. Under light gusts of wind, the bright buds are slightly shaken. The bee flies from flower to flower, collects honey, nectar, and electricity helps it on its way. It existed in nature even before the origin of man, perhaps. It is one of the fundamental physio-chemical components of life. The fact is that during flight, due to the friction of air, bee hairs accumulate a positive charge, while flowers as a rule have a negative charge. Thanks to this, the pollen literally sticks to the body of the bee. Well, then the beehive, and it results in tasty honey. Which once again proves that man did not invent these technologies, nature gave them to us. According to recent experiments, bees can even inform each other, something like, "Do not fly to this flower, there's already no pollen there," and all thanks to electric fields. And this is not surprising. It's long been proven that all living things on the planet have an electric field. Electric current? From the school program, we know quite well this is the direction motion of charged electrons and positively charged particles. This is elementary. For example, the electric charge of the same bees varies from 1.5 to 2,000 volts. But the most famous representative of the animal world in this area are skates. And there are many more deep water creatures. More precisely, 90% of all organisms living down in the deep ocean independently illuminate their way without using electricity. People already figured out how to use their luminescent ability in human life. For example, jellyfish. They always shine due to bioluminescence. Here we can use the DNA of these jellyfish. We take their genes, and they're placed in laboratory bacteria. The bacteria quickly multiply and also start to glow. These living luminous bacteria are placed in some kind of lamp, and we can use it as lighting. It becomes a soft decorative light. However, there is one problem. A live lamp needs to be fed, but in the near future, this problem will be solved, the developers assure us. The food will be inside a liquid form, which turns out that they will be inside all together in the lamps, and there will be another space where the waste will go off, these bacteria. It's all organic. There's no harm to the environment. And here again, live electricity of marine origin. Eels, skates, and other species of fish generate high-power discharges. The ancient Romans, Greeks, and Egyptians used them for therapeutic purposes. They applied live skates to painful places. Also using them, they treated headaches and gout, quite successfully, a kind of electrophoresis of the ancient world. The skate corresponds almost to the electrical outlet of 220 volts. We can say that the champion of electric voltage is the eel, 600 volts and more. But at the moment, people don't use this fish to provide electricity, in contrast to the luminescent ability. Skates or eels are no longer applied for sickness. They do not provide energy to coastal villages, but a lot of insects are on the list for potential use. Here you can see termites that eat trees. We built it ourselves. This is a common termite. It can also become a source of electricity. At least American researchers are considering the possibility of using termites in such quantities. Termites, simply by eating, for example, a piece of paper, produce almost 2 liters of hydrogen. And why not take advantage of this amazing fact, thought the inventors. But for now, it's only a thought. How successful it would become, only time will tell. As for electric power, here it can be said that the field is not plowed, since the resources that are now being used to get electricity are gas, fuel, oil, hydrocarbon fuels. First of all, they cause huge damage to the country's ecology, and secondly, they're not cheap, so we need resources that will be accessible and free of charge. Available, free, natural, and very real. Sources of bioenergy. One of the oldest forests on Earth, the Malaysian jungle, is more than 130 million years old. It's not just the lungs of the planet, but also the natural protection and natural desalinator of seawater. These trees themselves absorb the salt. Here the plants, like leaves, are light green in color, and there's still big dark green ones too. Random rows of palms that rise into the blue sky. And many of these trees can become an alternative to black gold. In Malaysia, within the framework of the development of bioeconomics, the construction of the world's first plant, which will produce an analog of petroleum products from the palm oil, was announced. More precisely, diacid. It is used in the automotive industry, in household chemicals, and in cosmetics. This palm tree grows 4 rings a year. 1, 2, 3, 4, like winter, summer, the rainy season. Season 3, ring 4. There are, of course, some concerns, and suddenly the summer is arid. Palms do not grow well, which in fact happened more than once. But the potential of this direction is still quite high. Almost 68% of the territory of Malaysia is occupied by jungle. The birth rate is too high there, already not enough resources. Humans mercilessly destroy natural resources, primarily the forest that used to save us. The unique charm of shady coolness to the enchanting songs of the inhabitants of the oldest forest, but without the usual humidity and bothersome insects, only butterflies. The effect of their presence is reinforced. One of the most popular pavilions of Expo 2017. In the top 10 is the Malaysian. Malaysian green technologies in the framework of the World Exhibition. Biodegradable packaging from rice husks and straws, sandwich panels, they are also used in buildings from palm oil waste and microbiological fuel elements. And the energy of flowers, so-called the Pavilion of Switzerland. Not by chance. In this country, they too extract energy from green spaces. The rape plant, a herbaceous cabbage with yellow flowers, and ordinary clover from the family of legumes. They're used, as in the whole of Europe, as well as Switzerland, for the production of vegetable oil, as well as fuel oil and the use of agricultural waste or food waste. Roughly speaking, food debris, scraps and cleanups can create biofuel on this elementary resource of energy. People drive buses to carry children to school. Let's take a little break and admire the Swiss landscape. The Swiss pavilion is one of those pavilions that tries to recall once again through an interactive form that we people are energy ourselves. A person is a carrier, a rudimentary energy generator, and also a generator of ideas, innovation, and know-how. There are 4 main expositions: the energy of water, the sun, the innovation pavilion, and perhaps the most interactive, the House of Potato Energy, and a vivid story of how something tasty can become energy efficient. A traditional Swiss dish, this recipe is more than 200 years old. Let's try and give you some useful tips. One piece of good advice: it's better to use local products, thereby saving energy on delivery. Potato cleaning goes to biofuel, to use a small amount of water for cooking. Close tightly with a lid to steam it, even tastier. The spectators could see for themselves. However, from potatoes, as well as from lemons and oranges and apples and bananas, it's possible to directly extract electrical energy. The main thing is to connect the wires correctly to the nail and the copper wire. This was explained in physics lessons. Put bananas that don't have to be cooked. Mozart can be played on them. Again, with the help of electricity, innovative pianos at the Innovative Forum in Almaty. And in general, say scientists, for electricity, it's not necessary to go further. It is literally under our feet. In the world, there are several developments for obtaining electricity, simply from grass. No, it does not pollute. This is a biological source of electricity. There is no impact on our bodies. It's all natural. You can't think of a natural one. A total of 1 meter in the garden can give you up to 28 kilowatt hours per year. It's all about the phenomenon known as photosynthesis. Nature has created a system of photosynthesis, and it's not been deciphered yet how it exactly happens. And no one could have come up with anything like that themselves. Plants absorb carbon dioxide. It's tightened into itself and they leave the carbon to themselves. Any tree consists of it. Any blade of grass, or as they say, plants release oxygen and we breathe this oxygen into our own lungs. Molecules of chlorophyll, which are so abundant in foliage and other green plants, convert the energy of light into electrical potential, subsequently transferring this energy into the energy of chemical bonds. Roughly speaking, these are the same solar panels, only of natural origin. Here, for example, biophotoelectric systems, the version of already mentioned solar batteries, are only in panels and cells instead of photocells, which are used in hay and straw, and it works fine. And importantly, no expensive artificial materials are used. Every part of me can become energy. An energetic monologue. What would you think it is? Corn in the pavilion of Thailand. The car goes into the near future because already in the present, fuel is extracted from corn. The main theme of Thailand is bioenergy for all. In addition to corn, sugarcane and eucalyptus, fast-growing grass is the most promising supplier of biomass and biofuel. And how a flower can light a light bulb. You can see it in the zone of best practices. For your attention is the Bio stand. Bio is a Spanish company. 2 students came up with this idea, and they're from Barcelona. Energy from plants, small pots with flowers, they have special wires. You buy one and it pleases the eye, and the room is filled with fragrance. And all this to the music of the player, which receives electricity from the wiring. We know when the sun penetrates plants, all energy is accumulated in the roots and thus electrons begin to flow. Every day in gardens, at home, these electrons are lost just like that. And here, all the electrons are in use. Here you can see the biopanel. They're located under the roots. When electrons flow, the biopanel in this technology accumulates all the energy in itself. And when we need, we can use the energy. Of course, to completely light the entire house won't be possible yet, but you can charge a phone very easily. For example, here at the push of a button, you can see movement. It all happens in the plants. You can also see here an example of how these elements are located under the roots, which accumulate all the energy in them. And continuing the theme of green energy, already in another pavilion from Germany. This is called the algae facade. Let's just say this is not just a facade, an algal bioreactor. The principle of work you can see right there on the transparent panel. Here the algae are supplied with sewage and they grow from this, thanks to the same photosynthesis, and provide the house with electricity, and the house is real. There is such a project in Hamburg. There is a house that has a facade of algae. Algae live inside the facade due to photosynthesis, due to the sun. These algae grow and produce heat and biomass.
За счет солнца эти водоросли растут и производят тепло и биомассу.
Just a note, biomass is the fifth largest renewable energy source after solar, wind, hydro and geothermal energy. Annually, about 170 billion tons of biological mass are formed on the Earth, and about the same amount is destroyed. It is used for the production of heat, electricity, biofuel and biogas. Biomass is at the end decomposed by bacteria, and bacteria produce methane, which can then be burned in block power plants. Already in some countries, the algal experiment is slowly gaining industrial proportions. Scientists say that for nature, new power plants are also promising because algae absorbs carbon dioxide during growth, and subsequent combustion of methane will not increase the greenhouse gas emissions. And also, this is material for alternative fuel. 90% of this algae will get used as the end in bioethanol. You can fill a gas tank, and at the same time, no special cost, all food and other necessary supplements algae get completely independently from the ocean's open spaces. And in this flask, special bacteria that eat organic waste and produce electricity, and this device helps them. In the lower cell we have dirt with microorganisms in it, and the upper cell we have just water, and between them there is a special proton transmissive membrane that serves as a filter. It transmits the protons, and in both cells we have electrodes. The bigger the apparatus, the more light there is in a city. Using such a device on a large scale, we can light even entire cities. Cities and houses of the future, where you will be able to hear more about it in the improvised biotechnology laboratory in the Kazakhstan pavilion. This is the housing project of the future. We will produce everything ourselves: electricity, gas, heating, fuel. In this system, chlorella is distributed. This is a unicellular microalgae. Microalgae build their colonies, grow and transform into our very high-energy biomass. Here it's collected in these tanks, and then we send it to the laboratory for reprocessing. According to some estimates, in a year's time, the global turnover from the processing of marine microalgae may reach $100 billion. The energy potential of biomass is huge, scientists say. For the house, for the city, for the country, for the whole world, to use the gifts of nature in a smart way and for the benefit of nature itself. Live energy is the future beyond oil.